All right, time to do this one more time, I guess. Today we're not just gonna really focus on just the drama, the circus, the war zone, the battle, whatever you want to call this thing that's going on. um, but Jimmy Dore just dropped a video. I'm gonna kind of touch on a little bit, and then I'm just gonna take some audience questions. I kind of alluded to yesterday. This all just needs to be dropped. Hopefully, now that Jimmy's given his response, this whole thing can just be quiet at this point. I mean, it's more. I think Jimmy did point out to an extent, I guess, from his point of view, it's not drama. His big criticism seems to be a lot of what I saw in the comments on my video yesterday, which was Kyle completely ignored that blackmail element. And I remember, a guest I've had on the show before, Ali Alexandra, mentioning that, did he really need to talk about the blackmail element? And I said at the time, I said, to me, I could figure out it was blackmail. I think most people who watched it or knew about it could figure out it was blackmail. But from Jimmy's point of view, I guess, and apparently a lot of other people feel this way, that he's basically just kind of editing it to leave that part out. So I guess he's not directly calling out Anna Kasparian as being, some type of like viper, basically. And if that's the case, I mean, that's disingenuous on Kyle's part. But the big thing that I will say, I pretty much summed up a lot of what I think about this in the video yesterday. I do feel bad for Jimmy. I do feel bad for Aaron Matei in a lot of this, because this was definitely weaponized. And in Kyle's predicament, I mean, look, I got my opinion on TYT, but as I said yesterday, who am I to tell the man who he can and cannot be friends with? I'm not going to do that. And I don't really think many other people have a right to say that either. And the fact he was friends with both people involved, that does put you in an awkward position. But to Jimmy and Aaron's credit in their video today, they kind of responded and said, hey, if you just wanted to stay out of this entirely, you could have just said, I'm not going to comment on it because I'm friends with everyone involved, and just left it at that. So that would have been a much better way to go about this, right? But as they also pointed out, Jimmy was supposed to go on the Crystal Kyle and friends, and I will say this definitely seemed like a pretty shitty way of handling this whole thing. What Jimmy pointed out today. He pointed out he was supposed to go on Crystal Kyle and friends, and then all of a sudden they just bailed and never let him know that they bailed or why they bailed. They just no-showed him, ghosted him, as he put it. And the reasoning was, we want to keep ourselves away from anyone who's involved in this drama, which I thought about this yesterday. I didn't mention it at the time, but they brought on Hassan Piker. And it turns out, from what I'm gathering, they brought on Hassan Piker, at the time it looked like Jimmy was supposed to be on, or whatever, basically, right? So yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that you're going to say, I don't want to be involved with any party, and then you bring on Cenk Uyghur's nephew, who, of course, he chalked it up to drama, this and that. But again, from Jimmy and Aaron's point of view, there was a complete smear done of Aaron Matei, that he was a Russiagator. He paid by Assad, and then Jimmy over here is trying to get Me Too smeared. And in the video, Crystal, Kyle, and Hassan Piker chalk it all up to drama, which I think at this point a lot of it was. But from the point of view of the people who are being falsely accused, they've also got the element they want to clear their name here. And Kyle pretty much laughed it off when Hassan Piker responded, I'd rather talk about what is it, like a pocket pussy or something, right? So I mean, the fact that Kyle laughed it off, I think Jimmy took that pretty personally, because as Jimmy also pointed out, if someone was smearing you, I would be doing what I could to respond to that and defend your name. And clearly you didn't want to do that for me or whatever. So I think that Jimmy really took a lot of this personally. I think he thought that Kyle was a much better friend. He played the clip of Kyle saying on Joe Rogan that they were good friends. But here's another big breakdown on this. A lot of people are trying to say, as an attack on Kyle Kulinski. And look, I've already expressed I'm way more on Jimmy Dore's side in all this. than I am on TY. Well, there's nothing I have in common with TYT. And I do kind of feel, in a way, even though I disagree with Kyle Kulinski more than I usually do Jimmy Dore, I do think, in a way, Kyle was stuck in the middle of a bad spot. But the attack that, because even though, and Jimmy said this, Aaron said this, many of the people who were watching my video yesterday said this, okay, everyone was chalking that up to, yeah, it might be his friends, but he should have called them out. He should have called them out. He should have called them out. Okay, I agree. He probably should have said something. But as I said yesterday, does he have to go on camera and say something? Does he just say something to him behind the scenes because there's a friend? You know, the way I look at this, when it's a personal type thing, if they're a personal friend of mine and I have a disagreement, even if their disagreement, I think, leads to really bad policy, if I'm good friends with them, am I going to make content for my channel out of that? Or am I going to try to just pull them outside and say, hey, man, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you saying all this shit? So different people are going to look at that different ways. Here's my only problem with the whole argument that it's bad for Kyle that he didn't do it. I mean, I've defended Jimmy Dore on this point, and I'm still going to defend him here and say he probably didn't do it because he worked for TYT. TYT gave him health care, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, Jimmy's given his personal story, said that health care helped save his life. So I defended Jimmy for why he wasn't calling out TYT earlier. But understand this, if Jimmy Dore is now going to make the argument, why is Kyle Kulinski not doing this? Jimmy, why did it take you so long? Why did it take you so long to finally start calling out TYT? You've got a problem with Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian doing these McCarthyite smears, and I have a problem with that too. But why did it take almost until force the vote for you to finally get to that point? That's the only thing that just doesn't resonate with me. You have acknowledged at this point, you knew they were trying to be Howard Stern back in those days. You knew about it. And if again, the argument is because of what they did for you and how close y'all were at the time, but you're not that close now, and so you're willing to call them out now, then flat out, oh, okay, you got to kind of give Kyle that same leniency there, do you not? And I'm seeing some people coming through the comment section here, and they're saying, like, Jimmy wasn't being smeared at the time and stuff. Yeah, that's absolutely right. But if you want to wait until you're the one being attacked to say something, then you can't really bury Kyle Kulinski for not coming out to attack TYT if he isn't the one being smeared and you waited until it was you being smeared to attack. I mean, you got to be consistently honest here. I defended Jimmy why he probably didn't. And I use that from what would I do if I were in those shoes? If my life was on the line and I was in bad health and someone helped me out, gave me a job that then in turn gave me health care and saved my life, I'm not just going to turn around. I have a loyalty to people. Even if you might not like that person and I might think they have bad opinions or whatever, I'm not going to throw them under the bus because it pleases the public opinion. They saved my damn life. I owe them a debt. That's kind of how I think. And I think Jimmy might have felt the same way for a long time. And again, proof and evidence of that to me is the fact that, again, you had damn near 2 grown men crying when Jimmy left TYT. He cried in his video, or almost cried, basically. He was definitely sniffling and getting teary-eyed about him leaving TYT and hoping they can do things in the future. And then you've got Cenk going on aggressive progressives, and he's doing almost the same thing. They're both getting choked up. So all I'm saying in this is, again, I think Kyle did dodge on quite a few things. I brought up yesterday, he didn't talk about the blackmail part. But for Jimmy to criticize, why are you not calling out your friends? Again, I defended Jimmy on this, but if Jimmy himself is going to make this argument, then the same question has to be asked of Jimmy Dore. You knew what they were doing to try to, simp for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And you gave some pushback to it at the time. Yeah, sure you did. But at the same time, you didn't take the gloves off. Like, I remember when you first left TYT, you went on at the time Primo Nutmeg. I think it's Primo Radical now, right? You went on Primo Nutmeg and he tried to ask you about TYT. You certainly even then weren't taking the gloves off the way you are now. So why did it take so long? What took so long was they finally did something that actually pushed your right buttons. They didn't support force the vote. They made certain attacks on you, like Anna, that she thinks you're a grifter or whatever. And when they finally started actually attacking you, then you decided you would take the gloves off. So using that evidence, you can't very well sit there and say that other people should attack them on the substance without being provoked when you weren't taking those gloves off to attack without being provoked. Look, I understand Jimmy Dore's point of view that their fucking takes are wrong and plenty of people should be attacking them for it. All I'm simply saying here is Jimmy Dore seems to be warping that level playing field just a little bit by saying Kyle should be doing it because TYT is wrong. And yet it took me a few years and them finally attacking me before I even took the gloves off and went that hard and heavy. And I'll say this, I'll be honest with you. Kyle used harsher language in his video yesterday than Jimmy did before they attacked Jimmy Dore. When he would push back at TYT, he never said your takes are cringe and fucked up. But Kyle said that yesterday. How can you say it's a full out deflection of TYT's problems when Kyle is using those particular words and Jimmy wouldn't use anything along those lines until the tension in the room between the two got pretty bad? I think that's pretty telling. And that's my point on this. And so honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. A big reason I decided I would come on and talk about this, because really what I would like to do is just talk with the audience some today. But this came out, figured I would come back on and talk about it. Here's what the problem is for me, okay? How many people are so invested in watching this? Because I'll be honest with you, I could have gone without making another video about this. And I don't know if this is YouTube's algorithm because they are trying to promote this Jerry Springer shit, because certain people are saying that it's not drama. And understand this, from Jimmy Dore's point of view, perhaps that it's not necessarily drama. He's just trying to defend himself. But I think what the whole situation has morphed into, with all the people, fuck myself included, reacting in this, it has turned into a lot of drama at this point. You've got every damn lefty podcast under the sun almost, except for a handful, who are talking about this. You got the Vanguard talking about it. You got Hinkle talk about it. You've got me doing videos about it. You got Frank Analysis doing videos about it. You got Kyle Kulinski doing about it. You've got TYT doing videos about it. You got Jimmy Dore doing videos about it. God, are there more? I'm sure there are. I just haven't watched them all. So honestly, I'm disappointed in a way that this is what has brought so many viewers to my channel in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like one of those things. If you're trying to grow the channel, talk about what the audience wants to hear. And so I will, because I'm watching this all unfold myself. But I would much rather, and I get YouTube algorithms are probably playing a hand in this, but there's something disappointing in realizing that this sort of infighting and talking about other people's problems has what's brought my channel a great deal of growth in the last week. And not talking about, how the government's trying to stick it to the little guy. Not talking, not issues like unity, trying to bring things together and make a change. That didn't grow my subscriber count by nearly 60 subscribers in under a month. No. Talking about, third parties, talking about the corruptions of Democrats and Republicans, talking about a failed education system, talking about healthcare, talking about all these different things that have actual substance. And that's not growing the channel, but talking about Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, Jimmy Dore, and Kyle Kulinski trading shots, throwing bombs, getting in the mud and wrestling around. That's the shit that grew me by nearly 60 subscribers, took me across the 700 subscriber line. And I'm not going to say unsubscribe, because now that you're here, hopefully you'll keep watching my content, because I try to have, discussions, and all the viewers might not agree with me all the time, but that's why we got to have discussion, and that's why I tell people, as long as you come and you comment, at least from a point of respect, you're not just here to be a jerk. If you disagree with me, you express that, sure, we can have a conversation. I've had conversations with plenty of people I disagreed with. Red Sea Cactus Sebs being one example, and we squashed our problems. But this just shows it's not a good look. And honestly, the way a lot of the camps and the parties are fighting amongst themselves now. Ali Alexandria said on Twitter, it's getting cultish at this point. And maybe not everyone who's involved in the conversation is taking it that far, but some of it definitely is. So I'll read through a little bit of the comments here. And again, I'm going to take, just questions from the audience, see what everyone thinks. But Cat 83, the elephant in the room, from what I hear, is that Kyle is paid by TYT as an affiliate. I don't really know what his relationship still is with the TYT network, because I don't think he's been on one of their shows in a long time, but I do know he was a part of TYT for when I first found him. He was saying he was part of TYT network, and I haven't heard about him leaving, so probably so. Joe Hickey, it's not drama, it's a McCarthyism smear campaign against a real journalist, Aaron Matei, who spilled the beans about serious chemical weapons being a lie. Yeah, I agree. That's what TYT was trying to do. And that's why I say I have no problem with them, giving their pushback. But I just think some of the points that has been made during this whole thing either get into the weeds of being, weak arguments, drama, whatever. For example, one of the things Jimmy said in his video today, his problem with Kyle's response was he had a problem with Jimmy Dore talking about the way Anna Kasparian was dressed. And he treated that like, what are you talking about? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why someone would be upset at that. Look, I said myself, if someone made a comment like that to my wife or whatever. But see, the thing is, Jimmy says he just said nice new skirt. Anna says something different. Now, I know who I believe from the two, because I know who tends to do more lying. And it ain't Jimmy. So I know who I believe. But the problem here is Kyle's friends with both. Who does he believe? Who does he believe? And see, we don't know. So you can't really say. So you got her saying he didn't just leave it at nice new skirt. She says he made other comments. None of us were there to hear what the hell happened. It's hearsay. He says one thing, she says another thing. You know what happens to that shit in court? It gets tossed out. They're like, fuck it, we don't want to hear this. There's no proof. There's no evidence. The only people who could testify, people who were supposed to be in the room at the time, her students or whatever, right? That'd be the only group of people who could clear this whole thing up, and no one's come forward. So considering Kyle's friends with both, who the hell does he believe? If, in fact, Jimmy said the kind of stuff, or even something close to what Anna's accusing him of, I could see where Kyle's saying, like, someone said that to my wife or whatever. But then to Jimmy's credit, Kyle partakes in the locker room humor, the college talk or frat party talk, because he sent out a tweet talking about if Cenk were to masturbate on a live stream or whatever, the viewers would go to 12. But if Anna did it, it would go to 6,000. That's and of course, Anna took that again as a joke, which only kind of goes to what I was saying the whole time. I don't think she was really that offended at anything Jimmy Dore ever said, just based on the circumstantial evidence that we have. I think she's weaponizing it, pure and simple. And the other thing is she was probably just embarrassed at the time, because apparently a room full of people laughed. So, that's the only thing that I see coming out of this. It's just it's getting way, way, way too overblown at this point. Cat 83, the whole point of this is the point where we can actually call out those that are smearing people and preventing any type of movement to be made on issues we care about. Yeah, I agree. She goes on, or Kat goes on to say, because we pretend TYT is just doing this in good faith conversation and having a mere disagreement as opposed to just being controlled opposition. No, TYT is doing this as a direct attack. But again, Kyle Kulinski's kind of got ties to them, not only just the fact that they're friends, but if he is still part of that network, it really does tie his hands. And again, the argument, well, why don't you just leave? Why don't you go off on your own? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Fair enough. But I don't think Jimmy can really make that argument too much, considering how long it took him to leave and how long it took him once he left to finally take those gloves off. Let's see. Joe Hickey, we've been telling Jimmy that for years. Thomas, Oklahoma. All I can say is that leftist infighting spawned from TYT's infighting. Cat 83, Jimmy tried to talk to them in text messages, but about how he felt about the situation. And even a little bit in the show today, he mentioned how he tried to reach out to them. Kyle left it a bit late to be so lame. He'd be better off keeping his mouth shut. Probably, honestly. Probably. However, I will say this. If he kept his mouth shut, I wouldn't be over 700 subscribers right now. Again, I'm glad I'm there, but it's not exactly the best way or what I dreamed of on how I would reach that point. That wasn't what I had in mind on how to grow the channel, but it's doing the job. I'm not going to complain about that job getting done. Just going to say I wish it could have happened another way. Thomas, Oklahoma. Anna is leftist, authoritarian light. Kyle is class reductionist, smug leftist. Jimmy is anti-establishment leftist. Jank is a civil rights advocate capitalist. Cedar is a neo-lib equals fuel for infighting. Or if you just want to sum that up another way, it sounds like a clusterfuck and a shit show. Cat 83, Jimmy, just like Kyle, probably didn't comment on TYT because he thought he can still get his message and ignore TYT. The problem is that TYT and their affiliates are doing everything to derail the movement. Goes on to say, therefore, Jimmy feels obligated to expose TYT to wake up more people that are controlled opposition, that do more damage to the movement. Yeah, and again, I agree that TYT needs to be called out. TYT needs to be exposed, similar in the way that I'm making my criticisms on stuff like the MPP, simply because, at least to me, like Jimmy said about MPP, why would you call it MPP? They have no power. And TYT isn't as big as someone like MSNBC or CNN. No, but if you don't call out the problems, you let more people fall into that camp and then get propagandized, brainwashed, hoodwinked, blindfolded, led down wrong paths, whatever. My thing is, again, I've had problems and noticed issues with TYT for a while. This didn't start at Force the Vote. I've been criticizing TYT with the gloves off over 2 years ago. When did he start? And why did he start so late? And if it's only because it took them being disingenuous on healthcare finally, or smearing him, so how many other casualties did you sit back and watch? And now you're going to tell us all that, well, if the substance is wrong, you should call it out and take the gloves off. Let's see. Frank Analysis. What up, brother? Knocking out a live stream before I have to go in for a third shift tonight. Go make that blue collar money to keep paying the bills. I I woke up a little bit earlier than I wanted to, and when I finish this up, I might try to grab about an hour or two nap before I finish growing in. Go on into work and get it done. But hey, at least today's my Friday. When I get off tomorrow morning, I'm going to come home, I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to get up and enjoy the rest of my weekend and enjoy a good 4th of July. And I hope everyone out there has a good 4th of July out there as well. Let's see. Joe Hickey, I do like your dry sense of humor. Well, you're only getting a small taste of it in this video. I get off a good one every now and then, and when I'm in the right mood, I can come up with some clever stuff if I do say so myself. But this isn't quite the mood that I normally do those kind of videos in. This is one of those where I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck is this shit? Jolly Green Giant. No one's perfect. Each individual can be dissected in that manner. Absolutely. That's why hero worship is a very bad idea. You're always going to find flaws in people. People find flaws in me all the time. Got to learn to set these petty disagreements and shit aside. Edwin Medina, the gatekeepers act like they're perfect and cancel anyone who doesn't live up to their standards selectively, of course. They're fine with Vosh and with Vosh the pedo. Yeah, and speaking of which, Vosh, Kyle's apparently newfound friend who's so fucking honest and genuine and et cetera, et cetera. Am I the only one that saw this little clip out there of Vosh apparently talking some pretty bad shit about Kyle Kulinski recently? So like when Kyle did his whole response video thing, right? Vosh was doing some little live stream or some shit, and he basically had some dude on, what was it, Danny or some shit like that, and they started going after Kyle on the whole OPCW thing. And then advocating like, oh, why do people love Assad? Motherfucker, I don't think I've ever heard anyone involved in that shit say they love Assad. I definitely never heard Aaron Matei say it. I definitely haven't heard Jimmy Dore say it. I haven't heard Kyle Kulinski say it. I think what they're simply saying is Assad had already turned over his chemical weapons. And look, I haven't done a extremely thorough, deep investigation into this whole Syria thing. I've studied a little bit on it. I'm not the professor here, but I do know how often our military has been known to do this false flag shit to keep the war machine going. Gulf of Tonkin incident, the shit where between Kuwait and Iraq back during Bush Sr., where they had the little girl testify before Congress about how, they're ripping babies out of incubators, et cetera, all to try to get us to go into the Gulf War, I think it was, right? And that turned out to be bullshit. We get 9/11, and then that gets warped into Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. There were none. There was no evidence to show none, but the war machine made the shit up so they could go to fucking war. So this shit's been going for a long time. So would I be surprised that this is nothing but made up propaganda to fuel the war machine? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think there's a lot of evidence that does point in that direction. Let's see. Frank analysis. I've been up since about 5 a.m. Keep working hard, my man. Yep. Got to keep grinding over here because we got bills to pay and things to do. They're not going to pay themselves. You're going to do two things in life: pay taxes and die. So got to keep working just to pay Uncle Sam to fuck me over a little bit more, I guess. Castor oil, good stream to be in one stop. One from reading all the comments popping up on Kyle's video. It's freaking hellfire over there. Castor oil, the video popped up in a feed, just ignored it. I don't like Vosh. I don't like Vosh either. I've definitely heard a lot of questionable shit come out of that dude's mouth. And that ain't even counting all the child pedophile like comments. That ain't even the questionable shit I'm referring to. Vosh is something else, and basically a lot of what I just heard him say was repeating some military fucking talking points, basically about like why staying over there is such a good thing, and they need our help. And okay, Vosh, duly noted. The Democrats would love to have you campaign for them next time and be one of their strategists on defending the war machine. So job well done. Let's see. Holly Horn. Well, hello. Hi, Holly. I haven't seen you comment on the videos in some time. Miss you over here. Joe Hickey, the girl that grew up to be part of Hillary's campaign team. Yeah, funny how shit comes full circle. Cat 83. The problem with Kyle is he is a reformist who still pushes working within the duopoly and pushed voting for Biden to mitigate damage. Jimmy is all about third parties. Not to say much better. Not to say much better work. Cat 83 of the system is needed. So I think I got where you're going with that. And I'll be entirely honest with you. That's been one of my biggest criticisms of Kyle. When I say I don't agree with Kyle on a whole lot of shit, that's why. He started off, and I remember someone commented on my video I did yesterday, and they said how Kyle Kulinski didn't actually vote for Biden. He abstained. Bravo. But here's the fucking problem. What you did was you started off telling everyone Biden's a shitty candidate. Last time around, I said if you live in a swing state, you should bite the bullet and vote for Hillary because we can't have Trump. I'm not going to say that this time. He started off saying that shit. I remember it specifically. I'm like, wow, okay. Kyle ain't drinking the Kool-Aid this time around. Good for you. And then we get the George Floyd shit. We get all the protests. We get the rioting, the looters, et cetera, et cetera. And then Trump starts talking about deploying troops to bring back a little bit of law and order, which him deploying troops didn't poll well. But bringing back law and order because of all the rioting and stuff was polling with a good chunk of the country. They didn't like what was going on. You started seeing that shit with the McCloskeys. And you got a lot of people who are like, if you just need any more evidence, look at how many fucking gun sales there were last year. Look how hard it was to find ammunition in stores. We always heard about the toilet paper, but not many people talked about the fact guns were flying off shelves and bullets to go along with them. I wonder fucking why. People were feeling nervous. But Kyle, when this whole thing started telling everyone, oh, it might come down to saving our country and defending our civil liberties. Motherfucker, and you think Joe Biden's going to save civil liberties? No, what the fuck is that? Joe Biden is responsible for atrocities and the removing of civil liberties. And to be fair, I've heard him say that before. But this is mixed fucking signals. It's double talk. Joe Biden was a shitty fucking candidate. And if you wound up just abstaining any fucking way, then you shouldn't have been doing out there like, oh, we got to save the Supreme Court and we got to stop troops from being, put down in towns to keep, authority. What the fuck is the difference between sending troops in to stop it or SWAT teams armed like troops, Kyle? What the fuck is the difference exactly? They're going to send teams in to stop the shit. Why do you care if they're wearing military camo or black SWAT gear? Do those optics make that big of a fucking difference to you? Because the shit was going to happen. Shit was going to happen. And a poll shows most of the country didn't feel comfortable with all this shit going on. You know why? Because people like their fucking shit. We live in a consumer society. We live in a consumer country. People work their ass off to have what little bit they fucking have in this world. And they don't like the idea of a mad mob wreaking havoc, or wreaking havoc and wrecking the fucking community and tearing shit down. So the polls show people wanted this to kind of be calmed down, take the temperature in the room down. So you've just got a problem with the military being the one to do it, but you act like it wouldn't happen under the police force if Biden got elected. I mean, even in that damn Chaz zone, I get it. There were Democrat leaders who were like, "Oh, we're going to let them do their own little thing, and we'll have the summer of peace." And that shit lasted until about few weeks later, when the fucking what was it, the mayor or whatever, had the mad mob outside of her house, and then the summer of love became the summer of shut the fuck up and go back home. Wow, those Democrats sure are doing the right fucking thing. Jolly Green Giant, feed the military industrial complex because that's exactly what and where I want my tax dollars to get instead of doing something good for my fellow American. Yeah, that's one reason why I'm, not happy with paying taxes. I would not mind paying my taxes if I knew it was doing something for the good of the country and the good of the people who live here. But it's not. And that's fucking pathetic. Punch up left, punch up, not left, right. It's a class war. Wake up. That's a long name you've got. I've seen you coming before, but what a long name that is. Anna is threatened to blackmail to Jimmy's left. Not forget this. Kyle owes Jimmy and Aaron a public apology. Hopefully Kyle will man up. Yeah, I guess I agree to an extent. He probably owes him an apology to a way, but again, I think, to be fair to Kyle, at least a little bit here, I think he said more than many people expected him to say in the first place. A lot of people just thought, like I said yesterday, he was just going to come out and kiss both sides of Jank and Anna's ass and bow down to his holy king and queen. And I don't think he did that. Okay. Fuck you, hat. Somebody should tell Kyle to slow down on the cocaine. He needs to get his head straight. I don't know, man. Maybe it's all that fucking big seltzer. Joe Hickey, domestic violent extremists. Biden just did that. Yeah. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Wow, some fucking change. As if we didn't know this wasn't going to happen. Elephant in the room, Biden said himself, nothing is going to fundamentally change. Holly Horn, spot on, Charles, and he's proud of it. I guess we're referring to Kyle kind of sheeping people over to the Democrat Party. Maybe he is. If he's proud of it, he should be ashamed of that. Josh, KK, remind me of Bernie's Joe is my good friend. Yeah, it definitely does. His friendship clouds his judgment. His video was emotional and lacks objectivity because of it. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it definitely to his detriment. Yeah. And you're right. There's definitely some links there between the whole Bernie and my friend Joe Biden. I used to do this on my damn channel all the time. It just got under my skin how a guy like Bernie Sanders, who's supposed to be advocating for fixing the middle class and doing all this shit, and he comes out there, look, my friend Joe Biden, he's better than Donald Trump. Does Joe Biden have a chance to win against Donald Trump? Of course he does. But I really think it should be me. So come out and vote for me. But if you don't vote for me, Joe Biden can win. Motherfucker, you just gave away the farm. Why is anybody going to vote for you? You got mainstream media and all these fucking talking heads on CNN and MSNBC and all these other fucking places who come out and say, you can't beat Donald Trump because you're too radical, you're too extreme, you're a socialist. You can't fucking win. Do you really want 4 more years of Trump? And then all the fucking people with the Trump, derangement syndrome, that typical case of TDS go, oh my God, no, I can't stand 4 more years of orange man tweets and bad fucking rhetoric and, a big mouth president who doesn't talk presidential. We can't have this. No, we got to get rid of Trump. Then the mainstream media says, well, Joe Biden can win. And Bernie Sanders says Joe Biden can win. And everyone's like, oh, well, if even Bernie thinks he can win, And I like what Bernie's saying, but I'm not decided on whether I want to vote for him or not, because believe it or not, there are many Americans out there who don't follow it closely enough to understand that there was a vast difference in the rhetoric, at least, between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. They're like, oh, yeah, there were people, like Kyle even covered on his channel. There were people who were like, yeah, I like both of them. What? Why do you like them? Why do you like them? Because it takes you back to your childhood and you remember the old Muppets that were up in the balcony and you think they look like them? What the? What? How do you like both of those? That would be like me saying, when the 2012 elections came around, oh, yeah, I like Ron Paul, but that Mitt Romney's pretty fucking great too. The fuck? Oh, my God. Give you another one. That would also be about like saying, oh, yeah, I'm a fan of take the cap, Ayn Rand. I think that Ayn Rand is great, but that Karl Marx is pretty awesome too. What the fuck? Oh God, the shit's so fucking polar opposite. It makes no sense. But there's people who believe that because TYT, shepherds people into the whole fucking thing. Let's see. Castor oil, Democrats equal limiting free speech, Republicans equal limiting protest, and voting Americans equal losing. Oh, damn. Now, to be fair, I will say this. I think the Republicans and Democrats, in a way, are rigging the election thing. Now, I will just say this, and this might not be the popular thing. I don't have so much of an issue with the whole voter ID type thing. I think if there is an issue to get a valid ID, that the answer is just making sure everyone should have an ID. For one, making it easier to get legal identification. Okay. I also don't agree with taking voting rights away from felons. And the right wing doesn't want that because I think they're going to vote left wing. But gerrymandering, typically, while it is done by Republicans, there are Democrats who have partaken in that too. And to me, that's just as big of election rigging as this whole voter ID thing when you're drawing this fucking shape that even a kindergartner would have trouble keeping up with in squiggle class when he's got the crayons and the color paper and he's just scribbling shit around. You look like you did that. You look like you just let the kindergartner draw these fucking voting districts. It makes no fucking sense, but it does for them because it makes sure they have the right group. They look at the layout of the town and says, now if only we could start here, cut over here, cut back in over here, down to here, back over this way, loop around, come over here, hard right turn, back down south, and then we just close that line off, and that'd be a voting district. Most of the people who live in those areas are registered in my party. I might fucking be able to win. Come on. That's election rigging at its finest. But yes, I agree with the with the point that Americans equal losing at this point. Cat 83. Another problem with Kyle is him promoting white people using the N-word as long as it ends with an A. No wonder why he is cool with Vosh. Kyle is a hypocrite like many prominent leftists. I think he's definitely had hypocritical moments. I don't know if I would go quite that far. But yeah, I say this on the N-word. Not appropriate in any context. My personal feeling is just way too fucking divisive. It comes from I put it this way. I would like to not hear anyone say it, including black people of color. And that's just my preference because I think it's just so damn divisive. But if anybody's got a right to say things that they would find offensive, it would be the people who would be considering it offensive, wouldn't it? Just like I don't think people should walk around and refer to a guy that might look like me as white trash just because I'm wearing a cowboy hat or I've wore sleeveless shirts from time to time. But if anybody would have a right to call someone else white trash, be a white person, I guess, at least, right? So that's kind of where I stand. Yeah, I'm not really good on that. Brian Aguilar, Joe Biden is not fit for president. No, but I will say this. As much as I don't like the fact he is, I pray the man's health stays decent because I'd rather sit through 4 years of him and then know that next election we will get someone else than let Kamala Harris take the reins. That's probably even worse in my opinion. Let's see. Holly Horn, great Bernie. I do what I can. Ron Online, the reason we all think, say, and do wrong things is because we have a sinful nature and we need forgiveness. If you trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, your Savior, then you will be forgiven. That was a hard turn in a whole nother direction. Well, out. I'm going to be honest with you. Ron Online. Oh, Lord, he went on to drop a few more of these on here, too. Okay. I am a Christian. I don't like Bible thumpers, honestly. I think that religion is a personal choice. People know it's out there. If people want to expand their minds, here's what I would say. Even if you're not a religious person, you should be willing to learn religions. Christians themselves, read the other stuff. Even if you don't agree with it. Even if you go into it saying, my God's a true God, nothing is going to convince me otherwise. Okay? It's called understanding how they think. It's called understanding other people. You do live in a melting pot of a country. Might be helpful to help understand more the people that fucking live around you. But one thing I'm not a fan of is people who force their beliefs off on other people. You know, I will reference the Bible from time to time, but I don't like, oh, you've got to do this. You got to repent. You got to repent. You got to repent. Look, people know what religion is. That's got to be a personal choice, in my opinion. Read the Bible. And if you still come away from it believing that there's a sky wizard, fair enough. If you don't, fair enough. If you don't want to be an overly religious person, but, you know, and walk around like Aunt Esther from fucking Sanford and Son and just thumping the Bible all the time, let me put some salvation in your ear. Can I get an amen? You don't want to do that shit. You don't fucking have to. If you just want to use it to better yourself, there's nothing wrong with that either. That's more or less where mine comes from, is I just try to use mine to be a better person in how I interact with other people instead of how I look at or judge other people. Let's see. Kyle Kulinski, Kyle Kulinski made the same mistake Yang made in New York City, summed up as, if you try to please everybody, you please nobody. Absolutely right. I agree with that. Edwin Medina, Kamala camp is already falling apart. Did you see the headline? Yeah, unhealthy working environment. And Holly Horn just commented that. Yeah, I saw that. Wow, is this really a surprise? Kamala Harris is as phony as a $1,000 bill. I mean, I don't even know if I'd want to give her that much credit as a $1,000 bill, because that sounds pretty good, and Kamala Harris don't sound good at all. But no, she's phony. To quote old friend of the show who has disappeared somewhere, he is no longer on Twitter and has vanished into thin air and is probably somewhere editing a Kim Iverson video. My good friend Israel from Big Talk Little Talk, she's phony baloney. Okay, that's my that's my opinion on that. So Brian Aguilar, do you think they will replace Joe Biden with Kamala Harris? If he becomes a mental vegetable, they're gonna have no other choice. What are they gonna do? Wheel him out there to the lectern to just, I guess he's already kind of going out there and having the blank stare moments. But I mean, if the guy is literally just fried to the point he's probably going to die, if they were to do that, God, how embarrassing would that be for our country? If he gets too bad, they're going to have no other choice. So that's why I say I'm praying for Joe Biden's health. And if you don't like Kamala Harris, even if you don't like Joe Biden either, pray for the man's health. And if you're not religious, then send all the good vibes you can, because if something happens to him, you get the Wicked Witch of the West. And quite literally, because she's from California. That's about as west as you can go in the United States. Jolly Green Giant, free country allegedly where people get it wrong. It is controversial. It is not a Christian nation. Many of the founding fathers noted this should be a nation of science and logic. Yeah. I hear a lot of people say that the country was founded, like an evangelical values and Christian this and that. And I get why people say it, but it's really just not factually true. There was wording because there were people. I know where they get it from. They get it from in the things like the Pledge of Allegiance. They get it from things like in God We Trust. They get it from things like, all the thing Joe Biden can't fucking get right. The thing. All people are endowed from their creator to pursue, life, liberty. The thing. Those unalienable rights endowed by our creator. People hear that and are like, see, they believed in a God. Turns out, if you really do more digging into the founding fathers, you would then understand that a lot of the founding fathers were what are referred to as deists. And a deist believed there is a higher power. There is some sort of, I guess you could say, a God, but not in the Christianity sense that this God intervenes in the real world, that the real world is a course of naturally happening events, that it's going to take its course over a period of time, and that this God or this higher power does not get involved to change the outcomes of things. Whereas Christians believe in the things like miracles, right? So that's where so no, it was not based to be a Christian nation. There were words put in there that might hint towards that, but it wasn't. And if you need no other evidence, freedom of religion was in which amendment? They didn't go down the list like it was unimportant, right? How far up that list was it again for freedom of religion? Let's see. Thomas, Oklahoma. Kim Iverson is helping him busy. I think is keeping him busy. Yeah, I'm sure. That I had a feeling when he said he was taking that job talking about Israel here. I had a feeling that he was going to be doing this a lot less. And the fact he's completely gone from Twitter now, I don't know if he's even going to do anything on Big Talk, Little Talk anymore. Let's see. Josh, would love to see you collaborate with Heavy Duty Country on YouTube. Low key, I don't agree with some of the stuff I hear that guy say. He's definitely way more to the right on some issues than I am. But I do watch Heavy Duty Country. I do like some of the stuff he puts out. And I wouldn't mind that one of these days. We'll go ahead and make a confession. I haven't wore it yet, but don't be surprised if you see it soon. I do have a Chief of the Rednecks t-shirt. Shout out to Heavy Duty Country. Jolly Green Giant. Which were things that were added in the 20th century to combat communism because God can protect you from communism. Every war we've ever been in, God's been on our side, though. You know that, right? I mean, we've had the deity blessing. We've been given the permission. Go kill, break the 10 commandments, I give you a pass. And we said that the Middle East has holy wars. Josh, back up one. Thomas, Oklahoma. So many old world pagan symbolisms all over DC's government buildings and the layout of the streets. Interesting, huh? Like that Washington monument. And I would know something about Washington considering he was in the same fraternity I'm in. And there are a lot of symbols that don't line up with Christianity. Cat 83, or back up one on Josh. Little known fact that most of the founding fathers were actually Masons. Yeah, I'm aware of that little founding father fact. Cat 83, you say deists, but most of the founding fathers were Freemasons. Many aren't ready for that conversation, though. I am, but here's the thing. I'm a Mason. Masonry isn't a religion. Masonry only mandates that you must be a person of faith, but there are Muslim Masons, there are Christian Masons, there are Jewish Masons. Masonry is not confined to a specific faith. It's just that part of being a Mason is you have to be a person of some sort of faith. And look, hey, the conspiracy theory shit about Masonry runs rampant. Trust me, I know, being one. I get people all the time saying like, oh, there's a cult. It's a cult. Factually incorrect. A cult tries to recruit other people. Masonry does not recruit anyone. Hence those bumper stickers, to be one A1 or to be one ask one. You've got to come to a Mason and ask for a petition to join. And a cult pretty much just brings people in to try to indoctrinate you, whereas we're going to investigate the hell out of your ass to make sure you're an upstanding person of good moral values, or we're not going to let you the fuck in. You know why? Because the goal, people say Masonry is all they're secretly running the world. And I'm seeing the Illuminati stuff. I'll touch on that in just the minute. But they say it's like, oh, they're secretly controlling the government and they're doing this and they're doing that. Look, I heard all that shit. And the only thing we've done since I've been in the Masons is raise money for fucking charity. We have business meetings first of every month. We talk about all kind of stuff, right? And I promise you, the only thing that goes on is community activism. We raise money for a veterans homeless shelter. We've raised money for hospitals. We've raised money for orphans. We've raised money for all sorts of different things. We go out and we pick up trash along the side of a highway in a community, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, it's that's all we've done since I've been involved. It's way overblown. I see Josh. You won't know the full truth until you reach the 33rd degree. You know how many people I've heard say that? Here's the thing about this whole 33rd degree theory. How many people say it and are 33rd degree Masons that would know? Furthermore than that, that just shows you don't understand actual Masonry, because you act like the 33rd degree is the top of the whole damn thing. You don't realize that is a completely different sect from the regular Masons. And here's what I mean by that. When you start, you become an entered apprentice, you go to a fellow craft, you become a master Mason, which is the 3rd degree. I'm a 3rd degree master Mason. You don't go from 4 through 32, and you can only go to 32. 33rd has to be honorably given to you. That is not part of what people call a Blue Lodge. That is what is called the Scottish Rite. And if you join the Scottish Rite, you are not recognized back in the Blue Lodge, like where I'm at. You are not recognized really as a 33rd degree Mason or a 32nd degree Mason or whatever you might be. When you come back to the Blue Lodge, you are a 3rd degree Master Mason. That is another sect. And it doesn't just stop at these, like with Scottish Rite. You've got York Rite, you've got the Shriners, and it's a fraternity. They're all fraternities. The only key element is that you can't join those like Shriners, Scottish Rite, York Rite, unless you are a 3rd degree Master Mason and you have good standing in a Blue Lodge. If you do not have that, then you cannot join the rest. I'm seeing some stuff. Thoughts on it being in the on the Illuminati. Personally, I think that the Illuminati and the Masons, I see where people get that from, is because Illuminati as in illumination, as in illuminate, and there is a lot of symbolic stuff that references that into Masons. There's even some wording and a lot of the practice as far as like opening and closing a lodge, but sworn to secrecy on that. Can't go into that. If you want to know, you got to join to learn that part. However, I will say this: there is no devil worship taking place. There is no satanic ritual taking place. We don't sacrifice babies at altars and all this wild shit. It's theatric fraternity shit. That's all it is. It's all it is. It is a fraternity, flat out. As what they tell you, it's the world's oldest fraternity. Edwin Medina, tell us the damn secrets, Charles. Not gonna happen. One thing about a Mason, you take your word seriously. You need to be a person of your word. And if you promise you're not going to do something, then you don't do it. And you take an oath that you won't reveal the secrets of Masonry when you join. I will just tell you this: for all the people who are looking for the dirt on the conspiracy theory stuff, it's not there to find, honestly. It's people, it's just like everything else. People build upon shit because they have this question about the unknown. People like myself and others, we won't tell you all those things, like even our red book. See, officers get these things called red books that if you have a chair in the lodge and you read along for how you open and close lodge, you do degree, et cetera, et cetera. It's in code. You couldn't read it if you found one. You wouldn't know what was said in there. And the only way you're able to read it's when you kind of know what's being said and you go along from there and you can kind of figure it out. Let's see. Cat 83 Charles is only speaking about the lower degrees, not the higher ups. Yeah, because you don't really know until you get there. But again, like the 33rd stuff only pertains to Scottish Rite. You've got other sects you could go into. For example, obviously look at the Shriners. Like look at the hat they wear, the symbolism on it. That obviously alludes way more to like kind of a Muslim based type thing, a lot of Arab influence in the symbolism, right? But York Rite focuses on the Knights Templar. Or you can just stay as a member of the Blue Lodge and be a 3rd degree Master Mason. And you do things to help out your community. Brian Aguilar, Jay-Z was a Mason. Yeah, I've heard that. Shaquille O'Neal's also a Mason as well. There's a lot of Masons. You just don't realize how many are really out there. Cat 83, funny. Most of these Confederate statues are torn down. Doubt they will ever tear down Albert Pike's statue. I don't know. I doubt they will. I doubt they will. And I will say this too. A lot of people reference towards people like Albert Pike, for example, because of the things he wrote. And he was way up that chain in Masonry, right? He was way up that chain. And so they're like, oh, well, see, he knows. He's been to the top. And they said, like, it's satanic, it's this and it's that. Okay. Did you catch where I said you don't have to be a member of a specific religion, though? That's the key element. Not many people really follow up on when they talk about that, right? You don't have to be a member of a specific religion. You just have to believe in a higher power. I'll put it to you like a guy told me. If you believe that there is a higher power that lives inside your bush, outside your house, I wouldn't advise you say that, but all you got to say is you believe in a higher power. That you do. As long as you do, then it's fair game. So there are Satanists who worship the devil and believe he is the higher power. It's an interpretation thing. Because Albert Pike said that does not mean everyone else says it. And I've also heard people that say, well, you can't really be Christians and take oaths. So you can never testify in court. You can never join the military. You can never take an oath. Well, you're out on a whole lot of shit, ain't you? Oh, here's another one. I guess it's a vow, but technically, well, the masonry shit could be considered a vow in a way too, right? Like you're vowing you will or will not do something. So you can't do that. You can only take your oath or your vow to God. So you can't get married either, huh? Damn, how many Christians are married out there? Josh, just remember the devil and his ministers will come masquerading as an angel of light and he will deceive the whole world. Okay, let's be honest. They go to the whole light argument on this again, right? Question something. How often do you hear about the Masons anymore? Remember something. The Masons were a very, very popular fraternity. There was a political party at one point in the United States that was the anti-Mason party or anti-Masonic party or something like that because they thought there were too many Masons who were in charge and they're like, something's suspicious here. What's this insider group doing running all the policy? But we haven't had a president. We used to have a ton who were Masons, right? We haven't had a sitting president who has been an active member of the Masons since Truman. Now everybody's going to go to Skull and Bones. Oh, Skull and Bones. Well, Bush and blah, blah, blah. Skull and Bones ain't the Masons. They're still fraternities, but that doesn't mean they're joined at the hip. It's like saying that the beta fraternities and shit are somehow joined to the Masons. Can't even drink in our lodge. Now the Shriners, not a member, but I've heard they can turn up the party whenever they want to, pretty much. For anything or 59, I hope you can get your follow Last American Vagabond, Convo, Slow News Day, Frank Analysis, and channels like this so we can all unite against the oligarchy. I've been on Frank Analysis a lot, and I've got to get Franco over on this show one of these days. But I reached out, in the past to like Condo Couch, Slow News Day, and never really got anything back. I think like Pasta sent me a thumbs up one time, and that was about it. So I haven't been invited to come on. But if they ever want me to come on, just if they ever let me know, I'd be more than happy to. And of course, they're welcome to come on anytime too, now that I'm starting to do more of these interview type things. Joe Hickey, love The Last American Vagabond and Whitney Webb. Absolutely. Freethinker 59, free Julian Assange and right on at Joe Hickey. Absolutely, yeah. The Assange stuff is pretty damn pathetic. We just saw Bill Cosby come out of prison, and yet look where Julian Assange is still at. Joe Hickey, Satanism is allowed in the UK military now as a religious choice. I mean, yeah. I don't see why not. Doesn't mean because I say it can be a religion that, you have to take it as serious as your religion. No. That's just the point of a religion, though. I mean, not everyone thinks they're all equal anyway. That's why so many comedians see it as low-hanging fruit to make jokes on. You think your God is the God and that all others are false and, are not gods, and it's pagan and it's this and it's that. And then you've got some who take that turn and turn into Bobby Boucher's mama and, oh, it's a devil, it's a devil. You listen to me, to Bobby, it's a devil. I mean, why not? do what you want to do. And there are people who have their view on how Satan, they basically look at this whole thing like it's a M. Night Shyamalan movie or something, where there's what the twist on the end. And like, oh, this whole time the devil's really been the good guy and God's been the bad guy, because look at the atrocities he's committed on humanity. And he did the same thing to the devil because he cast him out of heaven just for challenging his authority. And the devil's really been the good guy this entire time. There's people who believe that. So, I don't get too much into the weeds on that, but oh yeah. There's people who think it. There's people who believe it. You're supposed to have freedom of religion. Why not? Let's see. Cat 83. I would recommend watching the Fuel Project on YouTube. They talk about how we're going into the New World Order from a Christian perspective with Hegelian dialectic, Rothschilds, and many more topics. Most Christians don't talk about this. I'll check it out. I don't know if I might agree with it. I might not agree with it, but I have a lot of downtime when I do these third shifts because it's slow as shit. And I have trouble staying awake because I hate third shift hours. So when I have all that time to check stuff out, I'll definitely go give it a watch. Freethinker 59 at the Lone Wolf Podcast. You need to go on their shows or have them on yours. I will voice my support for that to them. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, spread the word out there. My thing is trying to build some kind of unity and understanding. They probably won't agree with me on everything. I probably won't agree with them on everything. But conversations are good to have, and it's much needed in a society where they want people to talk less and less. Josh, change the direction. Have you been vaxxed, or did you see Brett Weinstein's podcast with the two guys about? By vaxxed, I'm guessing you're talking about the COVID vaccine. And to answer your question, no, I have not received the COVID vaccine. It is not because I watched Brett Weinstein's podcast or with two guys. No, that's not the reason I didn't get vaxxed. I simply look at it like this. Okay. Who made the vaccinations? Big Pharma. Big Pharma has realized that there is no added value in cure. There's value and profit in treatment. Funny enough, how some of the things people are experiencing as side effects from getting that done, they just so happen to make a medicine for, don't they? Not all of it, but like, oh, I got a pain in my arm over here. Oh, well, here, take some of these pills and it'll treat that. Take this muscle relaxer and you won't cramp up so bad. If you know or know anything about people who sling drugs, that's why you got to be careful who you buy your weed from, right? Because it could be lacing it with some other shit so they keep your fucking business. And aside from that, I look at it through this lens here, okay? Honestly, not just vaccines, but anything that is put together in a rush tends to have problems. Hey, measure twice, cut once, basically type shit, right? Haste makes waste type shit. Okay, why would this be any different? Why would this be any different? That's just, I had that skepticism from the get-go. I'm like, I don't know about this. This seems a little too fucking quick for me. Now, maybe because I'm more and more of the opinion this shit was created in a lab. Perhaps maybe they kind of already had some ideas on how to treat the fucking shit. But I don't know. I have no idea. The only thing that I do know and that I will say is I had my skepticism, and I don't like to be the lab rat. I don't want to be the one to be tested upon, especially when the FDA still want to prove this damn thing. And you got to question why the fuck is that? And unlike all this other shit, you see all these damn infomercials on all the time about have you ever been experienced to blah, 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 blah. If you have, please call the we're going to take your fucking money law firm so we can get you added to our class action lawsuit. You can't do that because this was done under emergency authorization. And if it fucks you up, you're just fucked up and you can't be accountable because they've been given immunity from the federal government. Okay. So I don't want to be someone's lab rat. And it ain't just vaccines. Does anyone remember what was it? The fucking the Note 7, the Samsung Note 7, and this thing's just blowing the fuck up. A lot of new things tend to have what they call those kinks in the design. They got the cogs in the gears. They're not meshed out. They don't work properly, and they always got to tinker with them to make them better. How many fucking cars come off the line and then they have recalls because there was some faulty shit in it, right? It's any fucking thing that is being made. It's being created. A vaccine has to be created. You don't know that somebody somewhere doing some science, math shit that goes way above my brain capacity right now. Fucked some algorithm, some fucking statistic or whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. That somebody didn't fuck that up. Put a wrong number or fucking chemical, whatever compound. What you don't know? Somebody didn't make a wrong calculation somewhere, and then 2 years, I'm gonna say, "Oh, damn, we fucked up." Sorry, I'm skeptical like that. I'm not gonna take my government's word for something because that. Well, then again, I guess I should because I've never lied before, right? Henry Ford, Kyle Kulinski, Sam Cedar, David Packman, even Aaron Matei. Wouldn't trust them at all. No. Kyle, I think at least is more honest than the rest, but definitely Sam Cedar and David Packman. No. Aaron Matei, I don't know why I wouldn't trust Aaron Matei. Aaron Matei really hasn't, done anything that dishonest in my opinion. Henry Ford, rather listen to Ryan Dawson. Yeah, I agree with that. Aaron Dawson's a good person to listen to. I like his content. Joe Hickey, anyone with working brain wouldn't go near it. Sure. Oh, that's why I didn't. Josh, if you dive into Fauci's emails, you won't trust a word from any of these clowns in charge anymore. I didn't trust them before, and that just only reassured me that I was on the right path. Freethinker 59, follow the money. It's pretty blatant, obvious, and the government has never lied to us. Absolutely. Yeah, Ryan Dawson. I saw that here before. I probably said the wrong thing. Meant to say I don't think Aaron Matei is bad. That's what I'm going to say. I don't think Aaron Matei is a disingenuous guy. I think he's done some pretty honest reporting. But yeah, I agree. Aaron Dawson is a good source to listen to. Thomas, Oklahoma, David Alpac, man. Oh man, well this has been a good stream. I'm probably going to start doing some more of these later on. Talk about a subject and then just get some viewer interaction. If you want to ask something, just drop in the comments here. I'll answer from the guests. If I ever get to the point where I really start using like a streaming software instead of just going straight to YouTube with this kind of thing, might look into setting up like a Discord server, getting people on, and then do like that whole call-in thing, kind of like Franco's been doing on Frank Analysis. Just because I do like interacting with the viewers like this. And so aside from getting into the typical, Jimmy Dore, TYT, and Kyle drama, I started off with that, and then I covered that a little, and I've been interacting with the viewers, and we've had a conversation ever since. So I'm thinking about trying to do this a little more often. But if you liked it, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed and you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button. We could use your support over here trying to grow the channel. Make sure if you hit that subscribe button, You're ringing the bell so that you get notified when we drop videos. I try to at least do about 1 to 2 a week at least. I'm going to start doing more interviews, bringing on more people. I'm planning on right now. I've got one coming up with Reed Coverdale. I've also got one coming up not too long with Stacy for Truth. And I've been in the talks. This is long overdue, but he will be getting on the program. It's just a matter of getting things set up. A guy who's supported me for a long time, since the early days of this channel. I owe in a lot getting my first 100 subscribers to this guy, because he shared my stuff around, and a lot of people found me back during the whole Tulsi movement. Alan Myron will be coming on the Lone Wolf podcast as long as he still accepts to come on. Would love to have him. We're going to get something worked out on a schedule and some topics to talk about, but I'm working on getting Alan Myron on the show. So again, if you liked it, show us some support. We'll see you next time right here on the Lone Wolf podcast. Hope y'all take care. Have a happy 4th of July.